So welcome to my YouTube episode for this week. I have the wonderful Jim Millard, who is my guest, and he's a physio, as far as I'm concerned, a physio extraordinaire, because he's who I go to, and coach as well. But Jim, you work for or with Lifemark. I'd love you. Welcome, first of all. And why don't you explain a bit about yourself and what you do and everything else?
Oh,
Maybe not everything else.
well, thank you, Carolyn. It's nice to be here. It's a privilege. I appreciate it and honored. And I've been a physiotherapist in London for about 30 years, London, Ontario, and on this little street corner in Byron at Commissioners and Bowler for about 20. So
Wow.
that's basically, I get to help people of all ages, mostly 40s and ups. And
Oh, wow.
yeah, so it's just a privilege to be able to serve. So here I am.
Well, and you can tell that about you. Seriously. I say it every time I know. But so let's talk about serving then, because this channel is sort of geared towards the 40 plus woman, purely because that's who I tend to work with. But at the same time, I think probably anyone could benefit from this. I think men can benefit from the messages, but I also think younger women, because it's so important to put healthy habits into place, the sooner the better. So that being said, thinking of the 40 plus year old woman, any decade 40 plus, what would you say are the most prevalent, if you want to call them, injuries or issues that women come to you for?
Yeah, I think it's tough because it's all context driven, but let's talk decades. Can we talk decades?
Okay. All right. That'd be good.
So basically, I was different. I mean, I had my kids, my wife had my kids, but I was a parent in my 20s, right? So my youngest kid was born when I was 30. So, but a lot of my friends, a lot of my siblings are still having young parents or having young children in their late 30s, and in their 40s, they're still kind of saddled down with being a parent. So I'm going to call 40 to 50, the busy as hell, doing everything for your kids, kind of running off your feet generation. And I think basically you're just trying to keep your head above water.
You're right.
Knowing that what's going to come, and let's say the topic of this is just aging healthily, all right?
Yeah,
aging
absolutely.
well. Yeah, that's the key. So in the 40s, it's just trying to get a foundation.
Okay.
In a perfect world, I always had a dog, so I always had to walk a good 30, 40 minutes every day, but have a good walk, 30, 40 minutes every day. It's good for your head too, and we'll talk a little bit about mind, body after.
Awesome.
But if you can just at least get that walk in every day, number one most important thing, if we could bottle that as a medication, that would be it.
Love it.
If that walk could be in the forest or around nature a little more,
okay,
you can double the effectiveness on what you can get out of that. And we'll bring that up after too.
Awesome.
And literally the other thing is just keeping flexibility. By the time we're in our late 40s and, no one's got great posture. I'm not going to give a posture talk, but if we're kind of hunched over a lot, over time, that's just going to add to that little bit of stiffness. So trying to keep walking and some decent flexibility would be my 40s hope for a foundation.
Okay, awesome. And you find that people that then come to you then are sort of people that have had years where they've maybe been hunched over computers, or they've been, so the injuries are sort of reflective of that, or?
Yeah, and the injuries in those 40s tend to be shoulders. By my number one thing, shoulders.
Oh, wow.
Hips, knees.
Okay.
Shoulders more because we all are in this world, driving, kids, computers now, phones. We all kind of get forward, and rotator cuffs. Tendons are our weak link, and what used to be rubber in the 40s, including my skin, by the 40s isn't rubber anymore. So things start to kind of get a little less resilient and a little more open to injury. So rotator cuff tendons, tendons around the knee, the kneecap, and the meniscus, the padding in the knee.
Yeah.
And hips. Not so much for women, but for men, hips start to stiffen up, and that can be an issue. So those are the big three, mostly because people are stiffening up and less active.
Interesting. That's very good to know. And this is really good information, because this is maybe hopefully people watching can go, oh, you know what, I've had a little tweak here, or I haven't yet, and this is maybe something that I should think about. I know the minute that you said about the computer that I rolled my shoulders back and I sat up taller. So
That's why you see me doing this. Yeah, an ounce of prevention is always better than a pound of cure, but you don't have time. Like you're not, it's so tough to say, hey, I've got to go see somebody, usually until you're hurt. But, you know, over time in the 50s and 60s, we see people kind of tending to be a little more preventative because they don't have the same pressures. They're slowly leaving the pound your head on the wall 9 to 5, or just really 6 to 7, you know, kind of lifestyle.
Okay, very interesting. So what would you say are some top actions that women could put into place to maybe not prevent, but to help themselves as they age? What would be some things that stick out for you?
Again, I would just say 40s, keep walking.
Okay.
Good flexibility, right from work postures, changing positions a lot, to just starting to adapt a good flexibility foundation. That could be yoga, could be Pilates, which is wonderful because it just combines strength and flexibility. It could be seeking out a good coach and just taking care of yourself, but making the right habits, right?
Yeah.
I mean, our habits become our values. And by the time we're 50, or I'm going to say by the time we're 60, our values are our destiny. So to get
that's interesting.
The old Gandhi quote, right? Our habits become our values, and our values will become our destiny. So if you create the right habits in the 40s, you hit the 50s running, and the 60s where all hell breaks loose. So that's what you got to hit.
Okay, very good. So it's really 40s and 50s to 60s is probably what I'm taking from what you say. 60s is where if you've looked after yourself in your 40s and your 50s, then the 60s are going to be far better than if you hadn't.
But the magic of the 50s, other than we're starting to get free and people start to kind of get a little bit more, hey, I'm on the bottom half of the curve. I've got a curve. I've got I don't want to leave any song unsung inside of me. So strength training in the 50s. So in our 50s, we start to get sarcopenia. And sarcopenia is we just start to lose a bit of our muscle mass every year, especially on leg muscles, right? Yeah. And I've got a lot of people at 60 and they can't get up and down out of a chair without using their hands. So 50s at least twice a week. To add to that, walking, yoga, flexibility, that type of stuff, you got to do strength training a couple times a week. And I'll even throw in, you've got to start to do some balance stuff, right?
Yeah.
And it's nice because, you know, yoga, Pilates, really good to incorporate all of that strength, balance, you know, flexibility, and even the mind body that we'll hopefully touch on here today.
Oh, definitely got to touch on that.
So strength in the 50s.
Okay, and that's very important to know. And I think
better.
And I think a lot of people, like you said, a lot of people, you know, you look at the big picture and you think, oh, I've strength training and walking and stretching. And I think it's about taking little bites, and just starting off in a small way and incorporating what you can in, and then building on that rather than it becoming a pressure.
Carolyn, I'm telling you, the research is there. You don't have to do much. You just got to show up every day and walk, be flexible, and a couple times a week, a little bit of strength training. They take 95-year-olds. Ones that are here that they could put in a study, and the strength gains are phenomenal from
you're kidding.
From even just lightweight, lots of repetitions. And what happens is sometimes the cardio world, where running, biking, I'm a big fan of, swimming, all that stuff may be a little harder to do, let's say in the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Some medical issues or just time. But you can do lots of like resisted training with light weights, and that can be just as good for your cardio as well.
Wonderful.
So,
that's really that'll be a great message. That's similar message that I promote to my clients and I did just the other day to make sure that strength training is in there. I think a lot of people don't really know where to start, and that holds them back. Whereas if they could just start simply, start somewhere,
Exactly. That's it. Just take that step forward. But as we're about to say, the first step is
always
this way, right?
Big
so the
time.
first step is, I'm going to ask everyone, hey, stand up right now, take a deep breath, and try to take a step towards yourself.
I love that, Jim. That's awesome.
You're already there. So unfortunately, that's the habit part of it, where you've got to take that pathless path, because you can't step. There's no path, but it's just making the commitment, the right decision. And then once you start to get onto something, it's just like you said, following the breadcrumbs. And,
That's right.
and we're social animals. Don't get me wrong. It's so much better. Men tend to be a little not this way, but the women that I've been exposed to in my life and as clients, to sometimes have a partner, an accountability partner, a group they can do, which has really been difficult with COVID. It's gutted people.
Yes.
That relatedness, we call it in social psychology, is huge on somehow being able to commit to just a healthier lifestyle.
You're right. And I think having somebody to connect with, or somebody that you feel is expecting you or holding you accountable, will often make you do something on those days where you're like, oh, I don't feel like doing it today.
We all get it, right? I don't want to come to work some days, but
but people like me are waiting for you. So now I was going to ask you about the differences between the decades of either the issues that you see or the things to do to rectify that. I sort of feel like you've probably answered it already, but is there anything else you want to add?
Yeah. Again, just in summary, because it's the key. 40s, hopefully you get some time to yourself and you can walk and start to keep your flexibility. 50s, you have to add strength if you haven't already.
Okay.
Balance. As you hit 60s, you can turn that into, you really got to maintain it all now, all that stuff. And then add in, I really think it's the perfect decade, is that mid 50s to 60s to add that mind body that people add with Tai Chi. You kind of get to be hopefully a grandparent. You get to maybe actualize some of the things you've always wanted in life with travel and all that. So you want to keep yourself mobile, strong enough, fit enough from cardiovascularly, and have enough balance to be able to do those things that you were born to do, that you want to leave out in the world, not inside of you. So, and then again, 70s, 80s, it's just taking all that stuff and just staying moving, staying strong. And and if you get started early and you hit 70 well, things should go well. And I'm generalizing. I mean, people get weird, awful illnesses. People have trauma. Don't get me wrong. It's not always easy. And but it's doable. It's just getting started.
Awesome. That's the big, it's taking that first step. You've mentioned a couple of times mind body, and I know I love reading your Instagram page because you're very much into the mind body. So let's talk about that, because it has so much to do with our health, but our body too. So off you go.
You're gonna have to cut me off. I honestly think we all get there at some point in our life, and some people a little earlier than others. And it's kind of amazing. You just don't have time to kind of put it all together. And it comes with experience. I think we earn our wisdom, right? We fail our way.
All the good sayings you're bringing out today.
Well, we fail our way to this realization, and that's okay. I remember sitting there and just thinking, holy crap, life's a wave. But, and then you start to think, well, I don't have to be the wave. I'm the ocean, right? So I can just sit back and kind of think, holy moly, my wife had an illness. She had a cancer run. She's doing really well. And I was beside myself. I gained 30 pounds just from stress. And just because I was trying to kind of hold the bag and be supportive, work, be a parent. And then I just realized one day, these are just thoughts. This stuff may not happen. I just have to kind of just be here and now. And then that started me on a journey just to start to appreciate that a little bit better.
Okay.
And I honestly think it all comes down to there's really good science to this, and it's not hokey pokey. And if I can explain it this way, a lot of good science has been done on what we'll call resilience. Yeah. And resilience is really the measurement and how someone's going to be able to cope with life, right? Right. Everybody gets stuff thrown at us. Some people just seem to get through stuff. Not easier, better able, less scathed. I don't know, but resilience. So the study is looked at everything, and it just came out last year, and it really came out in late late 2019, but finally got into journals in May this year. And it looked at
Okay.
resilience. And it's Golnaz Tabibnia from some Stanford University. And they looked at, we have this positive stuff in our life, right?
Yes.
We need to upregulate the positive. And what they classified as the positive was just that optimism, that positivity, right? But I'll tell you right now, if there's a book on positivity, I've read it. I've written every word in it down. And
Wow.
you can't just live on being positive. It's not enough. It's not enough. As part of that positive, and this is working our nervous system, there's all this stuff on health, and that's physical health, sleep, exercise, and making sure I don't miss anything. Diet, right?
Yeah.
Huge. Gut microbiome. And I'm no nutritionist, and I'm not about to lose my license by giving nutrition advice here, but the gut microbiome is a whole different world. And sometimes I think maybe we're a little behind on what actually is going on. Like what we as health professionals might be lagging a little bit on some of the gut microbiome stuff. So all that stuff is super important. And then the third piece of that positivity, upgrading it, was the social connectedness. Being part of a community, being part of a group, having friends, working out with people. So those things tap into a certain part of our nervous system. In the middle, we got the shit, the negative stuff. Swore online. And that's that, basically behavioral coping and cognitive coping, the stuff we need help with.
Yes.
It's okay to get some help, to talk to people. I mean, we sometimes, and that's the benefit of a coach. Sometimes it's a therapist. Sometimes it's a counselor. Sometimes we just can't see how we're going to make that first step. And it's going to come from us at the end of the day. But sometimes we just need a little bit of help to find it. That's the brilliance of coaching. And that's where I'm slowly taking my journey into a little bit of coaching, because I just love people do well. And the third part of this is the one that kind of blows us away. It was what she called transcendence.
Okay.
And beautiful. It's that mind body, and it's the secret sauce that gets people into that resiliency. And it's mindfulness, it's being in nature, spirituality, which could be religion. It doesn't have to be religion. It's just flow, it's awe, being in just that state, right? Where you're living in the here and now. And that's huge. And if you can everyone kind of gets there, I think, in their 50s, because they realize we're running out of time. Yeah. But that transcendence isn't going from here to there. We're in our bloody heads so much. Transcendence is going from here to here. It's going from the head to our heart. And only when we can go to there, then it opens up that whole world. And it's weird to have a 52-year-old guy saying love's the answer for everything, but the English language there's only one word for love. But if you look at, I'm half Greek, if you look at Italian, if you look at Sanskrit, Tibetan, there's more words for love than there are human languages. We're paralyzed by our language. And the language of love, just to understand the different variances in it, like for example, my love for my patients, that's a whole different word. It's not platonic, it's platonic. It's not romantic love. Yeah. So it's just getting into our heart. That's where this is going. And then you make those connections.
That's right.
That's that mind body. And I really think that love is innate. We're so stuck trying to find it. I've got to find love. It's already in there. Joy, wisdom, clarity. It's already inside of me. Wonder, presence. But we've got this veil that we've put over it, or my parents put over it, or everyone that means well. I'm not victims, but it gets us when you realize that it's there, and you just have to kind of find the gate, but the door only opens up on the inside. That's the problem. That's right. For the door to open on the outside, but the door opens on the inside, and then you can tap into what we already are: naturally creative, resourceful, and whole. And then then you can just take off.
You're right. That's all just brilliant. And it reminds me, there was a saying recently that I saw where, and I think I mentioned this to you the other day, where we work so hard on our outside, which I know is important. We want to have strong muscles and things like that, but all the work actually goes on the inside. And that to me was mind blowing. And I think if people could more connect with that, what would you say to, like, I really personally, and I don't know, obviously I don't have the education that you have, but is there a connection between, and do you even know, and can you even answer to it? So is there a connection with all the people that you've seen, or the women that you've seen especially, between how they feel about themselves or what they're doing for themselves and the health and strength of their body? Or is that completely?
Oh, I tell you, I had somebody here yesterday and she was really struggling, right? But
Yeah.
she looked at some of this research, and when you see these flow charts, it's kind of amazing because that's
Yeah.
how my brain works. And again, she just got into that positivity, realized the health piece of that, realized how she could lose weight, realized her
Awesome.
exercise played a part in that, but also the social connectedness, the positivity to getting into nature. And
That's right.
I watched this person lose 20 pounds in 6 weeks. I watched her go from this scared person that, I don't want to use the word victim, but she was
Yeah.
the victim, going to all of us to try to rescue her, right?
Okay. Yeah.
But she switched her mindset around to now she's the creator and we're just the
Oh,
coach. We're just hope dealers. We're just helping her find her own way. She just needed to ask the right questions, or someone to ask the right questions for her. She
that's
had all
great.
the answers. She just needed permission just to really start to believe in herself. And once you start to believe in yourself, look out, right?
And you
Boom.
know what? And you're so right, because I think, and I was sort of thinking something similarly today. It is this perpetual, if we don't believe in ourselves, then we sort of
Yeah,
don't feel, you pull into yourself from, and then you don't feel like doing anything. And so you don't do the healthy things. But
yeah,
the flip side of that is, as soon as you do and you start building and you feel more confident, you want to do more things, and then you want to put healthy, it's all connected. It really is, isn't it? And
yeah. No,
it's,
it's huge. And it's just bringing that stuff into your life too. And it sounds
yeah.
silly. I guess none of my friends are watching me on this today, but I read poetry, right? And I love
Love
poetry.
it.
I shared some with you.
Yeah.
And that just taps into that really positive side. I mean, I surround myself with people, some people every day that I talk to this poetry about, and then we share some of this stuff. And
Oh, nice.
we just talk about, just the gift of the day, and we bless. We do some
Oh,
blessing.
I love it.
Amazing, because when you bless another person, it's like gratitude journaling.
Yeah.
And when you do that, you take yourself out of that judgmental, you just accept people for who they are. And when you give a blessing out, you're getting it back. It's an
You're
incredible
right.
thing. So all
Do you know,
that stuff in life is just beautiful.
it really is. And it's so interesting because I've always known you as, you've always been my physio. And it's really cool to do something like this, because I've always, as far as I'm concerned, you really know your stuff. Like, it's incredible. I feel such hope and trust that when I have an injury, and I've had a couple of doozies over the years, but it's like, I just know I'm in good hands when I come to you.
Blame
And
it
if
on
you can, I know you'll be, what I like about you as well is you'll
yeah.
be so honest and say, look, I can't, but here's a person. But oh my gosh, where was I going with that thought? I was going
I made a
somewhere.
joke and said, "Well, blame it on your parents," because I've seen them too.
That's right.
But no, it's
Um,
funny because I don't get a chance to talk about this side of
oh,
my
and that's
my
where I was going
of
before
my
she
soul. This
forgets
lets me
again.
share my heart and soul, not just my physio hat.
Well, and that's it. And it's so interesting to see that this is a side of you, and that this is, something that you're passionate about, and it's something that can be so helpful to people. I mean,
Yeah,
I think so many people struggle from, like you say, within, and
but I was going to say I won't read poetry in the clinic though. Don't worry. There's a line. I'll just help you look.
Oh, that's funny. I like it. Well, I did like that one poet that you quoted the other day. Was it David E.
David
White or
White.
David White?
Can I read something from David White?
Yes, that would be awesome.
Okay, so just to really go on a limb here, because it's okay. It
Absolutely.
is okay. Enough by David White. So it's really relevant here. And if you
Okay.
hear this man's accent, oh my gosh, like
Yeah.
the words come alive. It's still okay. Enough. These few words are enough. If not these words, this breath. If not this breath, this sitting here, this opening to life. We have refused again and again until now. Until now. Let's just take the first step, right? We are enough.
Yeah.
Take the veil out. Something's waiting for everyone. Just get out there, get in there, and
That's
find
right.
it.
Oh,
Yeah.
I love it. I love it. I'm going to have to look that one up. It's really ironic. So for the people that, we hope the people that are watching, of course, this is the third time we've tried to do this. The first time there was a screw up on my end, and then the second time there was a time issue.
Yeah.
And I think it's really interesting that today is when we redid this, because I watched a really interesting video this morning, and it was basically people talking about being enough. And that's sort of been my message for today, is so many people don't think they are. So it's interesting that you then, of all the poems that you read, that's the one.
Just short and sweet, and we're enough. Let's just embrace it and find that door. And again,
I love it. Yeah. Okay. So what would you say, and I know this is generalizing because we're talking 40 and up, and it could be any decade, but what would you say are your top, you've probably said them already, but your top 3 tips that you're like, okay, this is what I would say for women to do?
Okay. So no matter what, get out walking. Can't bottle it. That's the number one thing. You have to get a dog, find some friends, social distance, right? Do what you can do, but gotta keep moving. Okay. Yeah. So walking to me, and if you could do that in nature, like we're lucky in Byron, I've got the big woods up behind my house, and you get lost in the trees, and it actually just, and there's lots of studies that they in Japan where they take people forest bathing.
That's right.
Physiological change is massive. So get out the woods and walk. Number 2, keep moving, right? You don't have to do a lot. You just have to show up every day with a little bit of flexibility beyond just walking. And number 3, don't forget strength training, right? And I'll balance part of that too, especially in 50s when we start to lose a little bit of that muscle mass. And but again, that's the foundation, and you can only do it with a good support system, whether it's home with the coach. And once you've already made that step from here to here, and just realize, hey, everyone can do this, for the most part, and take the first step.
Awesome. Fantastic. And you know what? That's doable, hopefully, for most people, because, we can all throw a little walk in here and there. And I think most people probably struggle. I don't know from your perspective. I know from mine, a lot of people struggle with the strength because they don't know what to do. They don't know what to use. They don't know where to start. And sometimes it's just asking the questions of the people that know.
It is. And it's not as hard as we think.
No.
You can only use, if you have to, you just use your own body weight.
That's right.
You don't have to overdo it. The gyms and everything, not to take anyone's business away, is gravy.
Yeah.
It's gravy. What you can do in your own home with a few dumbbells, some rubber bands, your own body weight can be good enough.
That's right. That's right. Oh, I think that's awesome. I would love I think there's way more in, talks that are doable for us here, because you've got so much wisdom, but you're positive, and I think you'll be so good for people. So I do hope that you'll do this again sometime with me, because I just think that there's a whole load that women or anyone listening could benefit from listening to you. So, I mean, otherwise, if they're, in need of a physio, they can come to you and they can get the wisdom. But I can't say thank you enough. When I end this, I will end the recording, and I'll have a little chat after with you. So don't leave.
And one last thing I should have said, it just popped into my head.
Yeah.
Women's physio is a little different too, and oftentimes there are some women's health issues. There are some great physios in London. So anytime you've got ongoing hip and back pain, especially after kids, or if you've had kids and their issues, you do want to see what we would call pelvic floor physio.
Okay.
I send all my people to a couple different ones in town, so I'd be happy to leave any resources with you.
That would be
because it's
wonderful.
just a totally different scenario that you need expert care for. So there are some issues that, you know, walking, stretching, strengthening aren't enough, that you do kind of need that extra expertise. Absolutely. So I wanted to leave that on the table.
That would be fantastic, because I think also some people might think they're doing things and they're doing them for the right reasons.
Yeah.
But if they are having problems, they want to make
Right.
sure. Actually, if you could, I'll get that information. I have a feeling I know one of them, maybe even two of them, but if I could get them to put in the information at the bottom. But also, having said that, your contact information, I'm sure people after this, they're going to go, I want him as my physio. How do I get a hold of him? Sorry?
You can put it on if you want, but I'm just at Bowler and Commissioners at Lifemark.
Awesome. Okay. All right. I will absolutely do that, because I greatly appreciate you doing this. So yes, thank you so much. I'll stop the recording. I'll see you just after when I've done that. But I can't say thank you enough for doing this.
Thank you. Good luck, everybody, and let's beat this COVID. And
I'll say awesome. Well, thank you, Jim.
Thank you. Appreciate it.